And we're live, and only 5 minutes late today.
That's not bad.
Well, okay, it's not good, and we're sorry. We apologize very much for being terrible people.
Not profusely.
But
just...
in our defense, we actually had no audio 5 minutes ago. No, I guess it must have been about 10 minutes ago. 5 minutes before showtime, we had no audio whatsoever, and now we're live.
And it works.
And everything is working.
It's amazing. Hopefully.
We're making a lot of assumptions here.
We are, yes.
Okay, there's one thing that isn't working.
I can't even connect to Twitch chat. So.
I can't sign into the dock.
See, your dock's not up. I can't see if we're actually working because Twitch chat's all bugged out.
I was in the dock when we filmed the show introduction.
I know.
I was in the dock like 2 minutes ago. And the stupid thing is...
Oh, man.
I'm not
What's the... Oh, you're not... Beautiful.
Actually, it's been really inconsistent lately. And have you noticed they don't give you other options anymore? There's no option for send me a text again unless you wait 100 years. And then there's no option to call you with it. So it's like, send a text to your backup phone, which is my wife's phone. Because
not going to be super helpful.
We're talking about a backup, not like I should need to use this all the time.
Yeah.
And then the other option is use a backup code. Why do I want to use my backup codes all the time?
You know what? Two-step service is ungodly, though.
Ungodly bad or good?
Good.
Okay, sure.
Is VAC.
Yeah.
It seems like the email's been received before you actually press the button to send it. But it isn't, but it feels that way.
Actually, Hotmail's is pretty good too. Hotmail's saved me from having my account hijacked because it's proactive about it. It communicates with you if it thinks there's a problem via your other communication methods. And it's like, yo, cool. Dog, if you don't think this is okay, then you need to let us know right away.
Like how credit card companies are supposed to do stuff?
Yeah. Actually, they don't even call me when I leave the country anymore. It used to be I went and bought something expensive, ring ring, and my credit card wouldn't work.
I called them up to tell them I was going on a trip once, and they're like, why are you telling us? And I was like, well, wouldn't you want to know if there's these weird charges from another country? They're like, no, it's fine. It's okay. If there's local purchases on a card that I have only ever used for online purchases for 4 years, and they're local purchases in Korea, you're not going to think that's weird? And they're like, no, it's okay. I was like, okay. I need to pay more attention to what transactions go through my credit card, because you're not.
Okay, well, you're the only one with the dock up, because I just requested 2 text messages and they haven't come through. So
let's start with the apparently leaked specs of the iPhone 6.
No, we're supposed to start with the thing and then do the intro.
Oh, I thought we already did that for some reason.
Nope, we haven't done that.
All right, well, callouts that we have are Chrome is wasting power on your computer, mainly notable for people with laptops, but we'll talk about that more later. Microsoft has cut 18,000 jobs, including Barnacules. Sorry, buddy. We tried to get him on the show, but I think he's dealing with other things at this point in time, which makes total sense.
Yeah, he's got stuff to do.
ESPN will be broadcasting the Dota 2 tournament. They'll be broadcasting it on ESPN 3 with a highlight pre-show kind of thing on ESPN 2 at 8:30 of the day before or something. And Google Plus is withdrawing its real name required policy right after they made everyone merge their accounts. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I guess we'll talk about that later too. Intro time.
And of course we have sponsors! Hashtag Linus Squarespace. You guys have an opportunity to have a chance to win a free year of Squarespace website-ness. So go ahead and tweet to hashtag Linus Squarespace if you have a Squarespace site. If you don't have one, of course, you can get 10% off one with the offer code even if you don't win. We will be drawing a winner later on in the show. Our other sponsor this week is 5-4 Club. Yes, they're back. They're not totally afraid of sponsoring the WAN show after I completely screwed up the whole sponsor segment thing for them on July the 4th. I'm amazed they're back.
Get
Apparently,
it? 4th?
The 4th?
5-4 Club?
You know what's funny about 5-4 Club is I've actually had people ask me, do they have clothing for people who are normal height? Just- ah, so this is both, this is either a misunderstanding or you're taking a shot at me for being short, going like, oh, it's Linus, he must be endorsing short people clothes, and the company's called 5'4". I'm like, no, that's not what the 5'4" is for. Anyway, all right, let's move on to our first topic. So
We told people what the 5'4" was for on the 4th.
10-4? No, all right.
Good work.
you.
Anyways, moving on. We have the apparently supposedly leaked specs.
Supposedly.
But one thing in it makes me really think that's probably not true.
Actually, I'm going to disagree with you. So this was posted by I Fear Z on the forum, but I'm going to let you go ahead first.
Oh, I guess screen size. Anyways, I'll just run through specs because there's not a lot other than specs. But iPhone Air. Oh, whatever.
Brackets.
It's iPhone 6.
Whatever
see what
it'll be
they actually
called.
call it. Yeah. 4.7 inch, 1280 by 800 resolution, a 32 gig, 64 gig, or 128 gig capacity. Yeah, no 16 gig. A8 chip with 64-bit architecture and M8 motion coprocessor. iSight camera with like iSight camera with 12 megapixels and 4K video recording. Fingerprint second gen identity sensor. iOS 8. And it'll come in colors of silver, gold, and space gray. I don't know why gray needed its own little...
Well, it's space gray. I mean, it's different from, like, gunmetal gray or battleship gray.
But then there's different versions of silver and
Or
gold.
Grey's Anatomy. 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, 50 Shades of Grey would be 50 different.
Right, so that could include space gray. Okay, so the point is... I don't know, this looks perfectly right to me, especially if they're going to have a larger version. And Marcus's video, as well as the bajillion copycat videos showing off the sapphire glass, it actually kind of drove me crazy in his video. I should probably
Look,
have
you
said
can
something.
see through it.
No, well, okay, that drove me a little bit crazy too, because he says right in his video that he's never held a piece of Gorilla Glass. And then he's kind of marveling at how amazing the sapphire crystal glass is. And I'm kind of like, dude, Gorilla Glass is, like, actually pretty similar. I mean, it's not going to have quite the same degree of scratch resistance, but in terms of being really flexible, being very clear, if you hold it in front of your eye and don't hold it in front of your eye, the human eye is not going to be able to differentiate between something like Gorilla Glass 3 and sapphire crystal glass, just, like, holding them up and trying to look through them. You're going to need actual equipment for that. But no, the thing that kind of bugged me was he kept calling it a panel. And
Right,
it's not a panel of glass. You don't have a panel of glass. You have an LCD panel and you have a glass cover over top of it. So anyway, the whole point is that if iPhone 6 in its 4.7-inch version ends up also having a bigger brother, which Marcus's video, which did a great job of just showcasing how amazing that piece of glass is. If Marcus's video is true, and that's a piece for a bigger one, then I think it makes perfect sense that this one is going to be a mere 1280 by 800 resolution display. And
I just jumped into this assuming only one. I actually even forgot about the fact that that thing was bigger because they always just release one. But Steve Jobs doesn't exist anymore, so maybe they'll release more than one.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing, too, for me, is that at 4.7 inches, or even at 5 inches, or even at sort of, at almost any size for a phone, I don't actually find 720p to be not enough. I don't think it's... I think I can still tell the difference between 720p and 1080p, but it doesn't bother me. I mean, you're using a Moto X right now.
But this isn't going to be... That's a pretty small screen. What is it?
4.3? I can't remember.
That's a fair amount of difference.
Moto X screen size. 4.7 inch.
Let's just have a really small bezel.
So there you go. And does it make a difference to you?
Yeah. It's not bad, but I can definitely tell the difference. It doesn't look nearly as good as my G2 did.
Right.
Like, it's fairly, I don't know.
But then,
it makes a noticeable difference for sure.
The flip side of that, or not the flip side,
and you're buying a premium cost phone. The
extension of that is that LG's G3 with its 1440p screen really didn't make that much of a difference.
But that's a different, you can't compare that necessarily. Because you're comparing lower resolution difference versus higher resolution difference. That's not fair. You can't compare the noticeable difference between lower resolutions to the noticeable difference between higher resolutions.
What are you talking about? I'm saying 720p versus 1080p is a noticeable leap, but doesn't make that much of a difference to me. Whereas beyond that, it makes no difference to me at all. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay, that's not how you worded it.
So, I mean, I don't mind that Apple's not giving us a higher resolution display. I understand why they're doing it, because the way that their whole ecosystem works with every app just works. Every app looks right on every phone. Every time they change something like that, I mean, when the iPhone 5 first launched with the taller display, it was disaster town for a long time in terms of app compatibility. Everyone had to run out an update. So if they were to all of a sudden be supporting 3 different resolutions, now it's becoming more like an Android-like experience for the app developers. So I totally get that. It's just I'd like to see 1080p. I just don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah, I think it'll still be pretty not similar, but I think it'll still be a lot easier for people to develop on iPhone than Android. Just because you have these different resolutions, but at least you don't have all these different devices with crazy different hardware in them. Like, I know the bound-in guys had tons of issue with like getting their balancing correct across all devices.
Right.
Because you have to move it around, right? Because you're moving the phone around. So they'd have certain things where, like, they put it down on the table.
Yeah, they can't see the table. So they put it down on the table.
Put it down on the table, and with their default code, it's sitting there still, but it's showing the thing just flying all over the place.
Right.
Because it didn't make sense. So they had to write adaptive code to manage all the different devices, which is interesting. But with Apple, you'll have much less differences in terms of that. But then resolution will be...
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, one thing that we missed there, giving the rundown of the specs, is they're going to have a Touch ID 2 fingerprint identity sensor, so it looks like they're improving it already. Oh, did you cover that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I probably just wasn't paying attention. So
the one they have right now, though, is really good, didn't you say?
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, it's not the most secure thing in the world, but it was never expected to be.
No. And it's still going to be more secure than most just, like, tap passwords anyways.
There we go. Oh, I forgot something, actually. For the 5-4 clothing thing today, we actually have a giveaway, and you guys should definitely participate in this. So, let me just find it. Tweet, tag @54 on Twitter, tag your friend, and use hashtag Linus54, okay? So send out that tweet, and whoever that is, U.S. and Canada, by the way, has a chance to win a free month worth of clothing. So $120 worth of clothes. Yes.
So basically, you just got to find a buddy and do it to each other.
No. You tag a friend who you think will enjoy 5-4 to enter to win a package of clothes from 5-4 for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. We should ask them if they can send clothes to your buddy too. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
You know what? I'm gonna preemptively be like, yes, you and your buddy both win it. And now there's nothing they can do. They're just gonna hate me.
They are gonna hate you. Like falsified information on all of the sponsor integration.
It's not false. It's just not true. But I will make it true. Therefore, it's true.
I guess. Yeah.
If they refuse to do it, I will buy you a month worth of 5-4. So there you go. All right.
Okay, then. This is why we don't have air conditioning in the office.
Because I'm too busy buying 5-4 clothing for people.
Yeah.
All right. Goodness. So let's go ahead and move on to actually a really amazing little piece of articleness over on Forbes here. So here's the original article written by Ian Morris. Google's Chrome web browser, and this is a very sensationalist title, Ian. Google's Chrome web browser is killing your laptop battery. He needed to just, there were a couple things. Ian over here needed to do to make this not sensationalist. So, could have put life at the end, killing your laptop's battery life, or not use the word killing. So, life. Battery life. It's not killing the battery. Okay, you could make the argument that it is killing the battery because the battery does have a finite number of charge and discharge cycles, but it's not the primary concern here. Yeah. So what's going on? Why does your laptop battery... And it's not just running Chrome and doing things in Chrome. Having Chrome open is enough. So you want to run through the details here?
Which, if you're a Chrome user, you're going to have Chrome open all the time.
Especially because Google wants you using Chrome as, like...
a desktop application replacement.
Yeah.
In a lot of different places.
So,
like, they're going to try to make you keep it open all the time, which I'd really rather not, but either way.
All right.
So how this works is your, system clock tick rate, which is normally set at about 64 times per second, is being ramped up to 1,000 times per second. So your processor tries to go to sleep in these little intervals so that you save power when it's not doing things. So with most web browsers, if you're doing something heavy like watching a YouTube video, it will do this. But when you stop watching the YouTube video, it will stop and it'll go back to 64 ticks instead of 1,000 ticks. But Chrome...
Should explain what a tick is.
I just did. Not
Maybe a
that
little better?
kind of tick. I think I did it pretty well.
Oh, okay.
I'd say that's your processor goes to sleep in between these ticks.
Okay, sure. But what is in between ticks? But what is the tick then?
It's like it's a timing system. Programs can use it so they keep up to date and keep up to speed.
There
and
we go.
Get to process things.
So the tick rate is how often it's checking, basically.
Yeah, I said
Okay, so, fine, whatever. Your explanation was great. Here you go.
no, not at all.
Okay.
Anyways, continuing forward, this can effectively, apparently, cause your laptop's batteries to die 25% faster. And I don't remember where the note is, but it's somewhere in his chart here. On a desktop, it can go from about 12 to 15 watts to, I think it was 20 watts.
At idle. Anywhere
idle.
from 15 to 20 watts of power consumption at idle, not doing anything. Just having the Chrome browser open on the screen.
So 15 to 20 watts with Chrome, 12 to 15 watts with nothing else. So,
wow.
Kind of brutal.
I mean, I guess that performance has got to come from somewhere. I mean, there's the you know those commercials they have where they have like the machine that fires the thing. And
the
then it's
potato
like,
thing?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool.
It is really cool, and I'm glad that Chrome is faster than that. But I wish that they didn't have to make my battery life not go for as long.
Yeah.
In order to achieve it.
I wish if one of the requirements was that it was at least your focus window.
Yeah.
Like if it's what you were clicked on at that point in time.
I can kind of get that.
That
would
would
make sense.
Maybe help a little bit. But like if it's in the background and maybe you're not watching YouTube videos, which are doing it in all other browsers anyways, it would be nice if it kind of slowed down a little bit. Because I don't really need my processor being, my web browser able to very effectively play those super annoying video ads that are on places like TweakTown and a few other websites.
You're just going to keep hating on TweakTown until they just remove them.
It's so annoying! Oh my god. Every single time I see an article from them, I'm like, okay, I got to do this one as fast as possible so I can close this damn website. And anyways...
Anyway, Google has acknowledged the issue and they're working on a fix for it.
It has been acknowledged internally, like they're looking at it now.
They've acknowledged it as a bug. It's been assigned. So apparently
the only annoying part of that is that they've known about this for an extremely long time, and it's been being reported for an extremely long time, and then like the Forbes and a couple other people are like, hello, and then they're finally like, oh yeah, okay, we'll do it.
But no timeline has been given for the fix.
No.
So they haven't been working on it yet, I suppose.
No, not at all. It's probably buried at the bottom of some overworked programmer's queue. It's just like, hey, I'll do it at some point.
All right.
Maybe, who knows.
So we do this from time to time. We always kind of have this debate, but this is an amazing piece of news for pro gaming and any hope that it has of becoming an acceptable mainstream thing. The International 2 will be on ESPN. Did I say 2? I meant 4. The International Tournament 4. So this is the 4th International Tournament, Dota 2 tournament, yes. Will be broadcast on ESPN. So there's going to be a couple different streams. So it's going to be featured on their digital channel, ESPN 3, with a preview of Monday's final. This will be an ESPN exclusive preview of Monday's final on ESPN 2 at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time on the preceding Sunday. They're going to have Gabe Newell on. They're going to be giving it the actual treatment. We're talking the streams have got live action, instant replay, something that I'm not entirely sure makes a ton of sense for a MOBA.
It kind of does. You just don't play them.
Well, okay, hold on a second though, because okay, do you need an instant replay of an attack being executed unless it's something that's particularly exciting, like, oh my god, he almost made it, but he didn't quite.
I think that's more the point. And like if someone is if say there's an attack that's like a skill shot, so it's a free flying thing that has to collide.
Yes,
If someone
skill
shoots
shot,
that
yes.
and then someone uses an evasion thing and like just jumps over it, that could be something cool to show.
Okay.
Or if someone just nicks it, I think it's going to be a lot of skill shot based stuff. Or if someone hits spectacularly hard, some crazy critical and just crushes someone, they could show that because it would look cool. I don't know.
It would look cool to
Game changing parts of team battles.
Yeah.
Like if something kind of happens, but they want to show you the whole team battle, then they can snap back and be like, "This was very important. This is where the tide turned." Blah 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 for analysis and whatnot.
I guess that's more like during a commercial break thing. And that's what I was seeing as kind of the issue, because you won't be able to show that very effectively with an instant replay. Not really. Because you're going to want to kind of draw the X's and O's and kind of go, okay, yeah, here's what went down. Pause it for a second. Here's what went down. That's more of an analysis thing. That's not an instant replay thing. Instant replay. Here's the battle. A couple people died. It's like, yeah, I was watching that a little bit slower, but hold on a second, I didn't follow. Because the thing about a sports broadcast is think about who it's catering to. The hardcore guys who really get, League of Legends or Dota 2 or these MOBA type games, these guys are already watching on Twitch. They're already aware of this. If the objective of broadcasting on ESPN, which it damn well is to appeal to a more mainstream audience,
Yep.
there's going to be no benefit to that. They're going to look at that and go, hold on a second.
I think it would be a benefit to that if they were a lot further down the line. Like if this was already mainstream, like football.
Yeah.
Because they do that in football. It makes more sense.
Yes.
But then they're not worried about what you're talking about, which they should be worried about, and you're right. That's interesting. So I would see it being more like I was talking about, the skill shot stuff.
Yep.
The exciting, this was close, this barely missed. Like
Right.
you can do it really slow and watch the skill shot miss by like a pixel or something like that.
Right.
Would be cool.
I mean, is that actually okay? Here, I'm gonna reveal a little bit of my ignorance here. In instant replays of a game like Dota 2, do you have alternate camera angles that you can control as a broadcaster?
If we were talking about League, I would know. That's another thing. They're there.
Hit
they
us
could
in the
have
Twitch chat.
spectators. I'm pretty freaking sure it has spectator ability. So their casters would be able to have the spectator camera, which they
Because
could control.
That's what I find exciting about an instant replay. Is you kind of like you okay, let's take hockey for example, because I'm Canadian. It's probably the only sport I watch, actually. Yeah, so hockey, for example, you saw the slap shot from the point, and it's in the back of the net, and you're just like, okay. But then the instant replay shows you what actually happened to make that happen. So maybe there was a tip where someone kind of
Yes, it does.
slid in front of the goal and
Camera's
went, boop,
free.
Camera's free. Okay, so that makes a ton more sense. It's just going to depend on how well they can execute it. And right now, there's a little bit of, okay, it's not quite perfect because they have the streams that are designed for the more experienced viewers, and then they actually have what are supposed to be more noob-accessible streams that are supposed to sort of take away from not use as much of the terminology that a casual observer might not understand. But right now it's a bit of a mixed bag. So there's talk of, ganking when my mother's not going to understand what ganking is. But then the flip side is they're dumbing it down a little bit too much sometimes, explaining what the green bar above the character means, but you know what? The funny thing is,
Honestly, they should probably do that, but then they should also explain what ganking is. It
Yeah.
should be super baseline. They should explain what everything is.
But the problem is that where are you going to find a basic Dota 2 caster?
Yeah.
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 Because those guys are not going to be accustomed to casting the game as if someone who doesn't understand what's going on is watching.
But they should try and find like coaches. There's coaches. So they should try and find coaches that will stream it, because it's not as important about being like the hype guy, because oftentimes there's the technical guy and the hype guy if you're doing a 2-caster setup. If you're doing a 3-caster setup, a lot of times it's the technical guy, the hype guy, and then the guy that's mainly just controlling the camera, because if you want to make it super cool, you have someone control the camera. What I'm hoping is that they have like a small army of people that are all controlling separate cameras, so they can get those really cool instant replays that like you were talking about. But yeah, like on an educational stream, you wouldn't need the hype guy, really. Just have two coaches that can be like, oh well, this is what they were thinking here, and this is why they thought that. These characters can do these different things, so this is why they're using them in these different ways. By the way, when he hits him with that giant spell, his green bar goes down. That represents his HP. And when he casts that spell, his blue bar goes down.
Yeah, but you can't even say HP. See? As gamers, we catch
I'm not a coach.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, I have a straw poll for you because outside of North America, this kind of thing wouldn't be that big of a deal. A televised game tournament's like, yeah, okay. Whereas here, this is a huge deal. Like, huge deal. This kind of thing doesn't happen over here. So I'm posting a straw poll in the Twitch chat, if I could get the thing to load. There we go. Here we go. Straw poll. Guys, need to know what you think. Does a televised North American broadcast of a top-tier gaming tournament like this, I mean, we're talking over $10 million of prize money with the compendium and Valve's contribution. Does this validate gaming as a mainstream, and let's not use the word sport, let's say competition, because I think there's a lot of people who kind of get hung up on the word sport. Personally, I get hung up on the word sport. It's not a sport. We can call it an esport, we can call it a competition, we can call it a whatever else. We can't really call it a sport, at least opinion. So guys, I'd love for you guys to hit us up on this straw poll, and I want to see what you think. In the meantime, we'll move on to the next topic while you guys weigh in on this. But you know, I don't know. It's funny because as much as TV, like broadcast television, is a dying medium as opposed to a growing medium, or at least not an explosively growing medium the way that Twitch is.
Huge.
Yes. It's got a long tail on it. Yeah. It's going to be a long time before it's completely irrelevant. And you know what's funny about it? Is even though, you know, I look at something like YouTube, my primary distribution platform, or I look at something like broadcast television and I go, okay, if someone casted me in a TV commercial, the actual reach of that, the impact that has on my personal notoriety, not a whole lot in terms of actual eyeballs looking at it, but for some reason they've done such a good job over the years of being the prestigious thing compared to web. And it's going to be a long time before that shifts. Yep. Even I still view TV as a bigger deal than being a big deal on YouTube. When you're on YouTube, you're internet famous.
Yeah.
And the implication, like the tongue-in-cheek internet famous term, comes from the lack of respect we have for people who are internet famous compared to people who are real famous. Because there's internet, and then there's TV, and then there's silver screen. And it's going to be that way for a long time. Apparently, Josh from Fractal is trying to buy air conditioning units for the office. And
people
not realizing that
to check my DMs.
Not realizing that I'm still gonna have to pay for the electricity, which is not happening. So he can buy the AC units, but they're gonna go wherever it is that they go. Wow. If we do AC here, it'll be central AC, not those stupid window mount units.
Won't even pay for the electricity for a paid-for AC unit.
All right,
my boss.
So here you go. Here's what you guys said about the straw poll. I'll give you guys one more chance to weigh in right now. Let's just fire up the this guy right here. Ba-doop. People are asking me if I'm gonna hire Barnacles. What makes people think I can afford Barnacles? What makes people think Barnacles lives here? What makes people think Barnacles wants to move himself and his family? There's been a lot of Twitter chatter about when I'm gonna hire Barnacles. I'm not gonna hire Barnacles. He's got his own YouTube channel that's actually growing at a reasonable rate. He's got his own things to do. Anyway, does a North American TV broadcast mean gaming is going mainstream? We've got 60% of you saying yes, but not for a while. 20% of you saying yes, now. And the final 20% of you saying no, that's ridiculous. You know what? I would have said no, that's ridiculous a year ago.
I'm going to agree with the 62%, 61%.
Yeah, I'm going to go with those guys. I don't think this is...
I think once like all the major matches are cast on ESPN2.
And I mean, you got to look at it like any sport. The acceptance is going to come down to stuff that goes way beyond being broadcast on TV. The NHL is broadcast on TV in the United States. That doesn't change the fact that outside of maybe a dozen to a couple dozen areas, that doesn't mean that the NHL really has any penetration compared to how widely accepted and how widely viewed it is in Canada.
Yeah.
So...
watching the water usage statistics for the Olympic Games is hilarious during hockey matches.
Yeah, it was I think the gold medal Canada game or something like that, where basically nobody used the bathroom in the entire country while the game was on, and then the water pressure of the entire country got destroyed. And as it went into overtime or something, I forget what game this was exactly. I think it was an Olympic game, but as it went into overtime, it got worse and worse because people would be kind of holding out. No, I really need to go, and then they'd wait for an overtime period.
Oh, hilarious.
All right, ESPN to cast Dota 2 tournament. That's extremely exciting, though. I mean, it's a turning point.
I think
if
it's
nothing else.
a slightly like it's not. I don't think it's enough because saying ESPN is casting it, I think is almost a little bit sensationalist just because it's ESPN3.
Yeah.
It's their
Hold on. They have that pregame coverage on ESPN2.
That's the important part though, is the pregame coverage, and that's why I was saying once that pregame coverage is all the major matches, and once it's not the pregame, once it's the final, once it's like that kind of stuff, I think that's more important. But this is still extremely cool. I just think it's like the first stone in the like walk that we need to create, and it's not even that big of one.
Right.
It's just very cool that it's actually there.
So this is a post from Builder on the forum. Google Plus now lets you use any name you want. Okay, thank you, Google. I still wish
Little late.
Yeah, it's a little late and it's a little frustrating. I've already created, my using a page for Linus Tech Tips as opposed to just having a normal person account. I've already done all this stuff. I've already gone through all this stress of every time I merge any Google service or create any new one or rename anything, worrying about, oh my God, is it permanent now? Oh my God, do I have to completely junk this YouTube account because instead of Tech Quickie with 2 capitals, I forgot to make the second Q a capital, and I cannot change that because thank you, Google. To me, it's just too little too late. It's got 4,300 pluses on the post that's shared on Google Plus, of course. And one thing that I thought was really cool about it is that their development lead is actually in the Google Plus comments. Check this out. Replying to individual people's concerns about the change, because the reality of it is not everyone's happy about it. Some people liked the real name policy on Google Plus and were users of Google Plus because they felt like the real name policy took some of the trolling out of it. I don't know. Is there anything else to really say about it?
He said specifically at one point where some people are saying it's come out in playtime for trolls, but he said one of the reasons it is safe to do at this launch is their troll smashing department has gotten very good at their jobs, that's cool and all, but I don't necessarily. What are you doing?
Don't worry about it. Carry on.
Okay. That's cool and all, but I don't necessarily know if that'll help. I'm sure there will be, Bob and his tank or whatever. I'm sure they will come back. But I don't even know if I care. I would much rather have, personally at least, be able to have an account which doesn't have my name on it. I never had an account that had my name on it.
Right.
I once they were like trying to force you to merge your accounts, I just stopped using my personal account on YouTube and started using my work one. So I didn't have to merge them. So I could keep them separate. And now I might merge my old personal account.
Right.
Just because, that's stupid. I don't want to do that.
For me, it's frustrating because I don't go by my real name, really. Like, Austin Evans goes by his real name across the board, on the YouTube channel, on Twitter, everywhere. Whereas I don't go by that. I go by Linus Tech or Linus Tech Tips or whatever else. Not because I think it's better, but because I think it just is what I did in the first place, and I can't change it. Thanks, Google. So that's where we're at.
How I've always used the internet, and including forum sign up and everything that I've always done until fairly recently when I've had a public persona, is I've used this thing which is called fakenamegenerator.com, and all you have to do is put in a gender, a name set, which there's a lot of different name sets to choose from, and a country, which there's also tons of different countries to choose from, and it gives you all the form fill-inable information.
Wow.
that you could like possibly need. It even gives you a fake job. It even gives you a fake SSN. It gives you a fake vehicle. It gives you like you can.
I drive a 2004 Lexus LFC. What
That's
do you
pretty
drive?
badass. Apparently a 1995 Hyundai Elantra. Yeah. My name is apparently Stacy B. Warner. Wow, that's interesting.
Mine's Justin M. Anderson. You got something to tell me? Mind you, you're 29 and I'm 68, so
Right.
as much cooler than you as I am right now, I'll be dead soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't I don't know. I haven't put in any the gender set to random and stuff, but that's what I used to do mainly when I was younger because I just didn't want to give my information to people, and I still don't normally. Like I think I have my real information filled in and just a few main services that I'm really worried about. It would be very damaging if I lost them.
Right.
So that if I called up and they're like, "What is all your information?" I could be like, "Well, I know that.
I don't have to make this
me."
stuff up because...
Yeah. And if they're like, "Oh, we need to see like an ID,"
Right.
because there's a few different services that'll do that, then I can actually show my real ID and it's fine.
You know, the funny thing about that whole thing is I'm not sure how I feel about people using a real identity online for certain things. For some stuff, I don't... Okay, again, so my problem is that I wanted to go by an alias because my alias is much more well-known than my actual name. But
your alias is your...
I mean, well, it's part of my name. And there aren't that many Linuses, so it's really not very private.
Yeah.
Compared to if I went by, Bob the PC Builder, or as if that wasn't going to result in a lawsuit.
Tech Builder TV...
Something 15. Like that. For some things online, I still don't mind people using their real names because removing that anonymity does remove a little bit of buttheadness.
Yeah, but then at the same time, if someone, even if you're saying something that isn't buttheadness, and someone takes offense to it somehow,
and
it's
there
extremely dangerous.
there are 100,000 legitimate, really great reasons to not have to reveal your identity online. Totally get it.
I think there would be interesting places like the FCC forum, but then that's also scary because government could be pissed at you.
Exactly. So I just don't think it's that cut and dried. And apparently neither does Google. They're still defending their old position of asking for people's real names while as they continue. So originally they allowed nicknames, and then now they're just removing the whole thing entirely. So as they've stepped back from that hardline policy, they're still saying that the old one was what it was.
Yeah.
Which I guess leads us into... Yes.
Does it? What?
Our sponsor spots.
Oh, okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and search for that hashtag. I'm going to give you the hashtag now. So tag your friend.
Oh, we're doing this on the show.
Yeah, we're doing this on the show.
Cool.
We're giving away $120 worth of 5-4 clothing live.
I should have tweeted someone.
You should have tweeted someone. Go for it. Do it now.
Oh my god.
Please note, employees and anyone affiliated with employees of Linus Media Group cannot win, but you can go ahead and tweet it anyway. I don't care.
Damn it.
So
I'm going to tweet at someone anyways, just to confuse them.
I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to post this in the Twitch chat so you guys have a chance to give you and your friend, because I'm just breaking all the rules, you and your friend a chance to win $120 worth of clothing from 5-4 while I go ahead and cover what exactly 5-4 is. So first, I have to remove my earpiece.
Stripping on camera again?
Yeah, I'm stripping on camera all the time.
Of your current shirt.
Nah, it's really warm in here.
You are kind of stripping on camera.
I'm kind of stripping on camera. I'm gonna cover my nipples this week with the 5-4 Club logo. Censorship, 5-4 censorship.
Is he gonna do it properly?
I'm gonna try.
You're doing pretty good so far.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good so far. It's like, do they really want their logo on top of my nipples? One of these days, I'm gonna...
like that one of those I don't know what they're called, but those swimsuits
there
for
we
girls
go.
that don't have straps. They just go across.
Now I'm censoring their logo with their logo. One of these days, they're just gonna be like, we're sick of this guy's crap.
Damn it!
He's gonna keep pushing the boundaries of what he can get away with when he talks about our company.
Next thing you're gonna do though, because they're mad about the logo thing, you're just gonna slide this up. Oh no, you can't slide that up. I was gonna be like, we can be like the guy from Star Trek and have like the eye cover thing.
All right, hashtag Linus54. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to just randomly, I don't know. Okay, Steve G seems like he has a pretty cool name. Let's see if he did it right. So Steve G, you got here we go. Linus screen share. Check out 5-4, hashtag Linus54, and tags presumably his buddy Brian Miller 1111. All right, Steve G, I'm going to go ahead and follow you on the Twitters here. and you are the big winner. Congratulations. So go ahead and send me a DM. We'll get your information sorted out, and you get $120 worth of clothing from 5-4. But,
Yay.
of course, we have to tell you about 5-4 service. So basically, if you hate shopping, 5-4 is designed for you. If you hate people looking at you like they're judging you and you pick the wrong clothes in the store. Do you get that feeling?
No.
Really?
Nope.
I do.
I
get really anxious.
I don't care at all, but then that also makes the shopping experience not good, and also helps with 5-4.
You know what?
Because then I don't have to care. It just shows up.
The problem for me is that okay. The problem for me is I have like this weird mental block where like if you look bad because you don't care and you obviously just picked up whatever, then I kind of get that. Whereas if you look bad, even though you obviously tried really hard to look good, I can get a little judgy.
Me too. I get the exact same thing, actually. That's a very good point.
I can get a little judgy. So when I'm shopping, I fall into this trap where either I have to pick stuff that looks like I don't care, and I'll never look that good, or I have to try to pick stuff that looks like I tried and risk looking like a dumbass. So I hate shots. So anyway, the way 5-4 works is they've got your own personal stylist that goes through and handpicks stuff to send you every month. You get $120 sticker price worth of clothing for $60 every month. And if you use our code here, bit.ly/LinusFFC, and offer code Linus, you get $15 off of your first package. So the quality of the clothing is nice. We've got lots of it around here. And basically, you don't have to worry about it. You enter you do a quick survey, 60 seconds, and you enter like your shoe size and you kind of pick a couple things that you think are good. I did it in 54 seconds or something like that. And then you are signed up and ready to rock. So there you go, guys. What's up?
I'm going to test it. I'm going to see how fast
You're going to see how fast you can do it?
On
All
a
right.
laptop.
In the meantime, I actually have another giveaway. So Squarespace is back. Did you know that Squarespace is one of our longest running sponsors on the show?
I'm not surprised. Our guys actually really like them.
Yeah.
And we use them both personally and for business.
So there you go. Squarespace is awesome. What do they actually do? For those of you who still don't know, don't worry, I'm not going to play the song again. What Squarespace does is they have flexible, beautiful websites that are easy to use and yet customizable. All you got to do is sign up for a 2-week trial over on squarespace.com/Linus preferably, so I get credit for the referral. And the idea is that whether people are browsing your site on a phone or on a PC or whatever kind of device, tablet, whatever, it's going to look good, it's going to operate correctly, which can be a huge problem even with mostly turnkey solutions that involve picking a theme and then, uploading your own content into it. It's going to be mostly functional, well, not mostly functional, it will be functional, unlike the other ones that are mostly functional, and it'll look good doing it. The performance is good, even on things like our linusmediagroup.com site. I find, this is cool. I can operate my image slider with my touchscreen, stuff that I wouldn't have necessarily. How long did it take you? 48 seconds.
And I sat on one question for a while and then remembered that I was timed and then kept going.
So there you go. It actually doesn't take very long, but you still have to enter your email and password. So maybe that's your extra 12 seconds. But anyway, the point is we love Squarespace. We use them all the time. They're inexpensive, and we've even stress tested it. We have taken down a lot of websites on the WAN show.
We have,
we took down Noctua once.
We did.
Which was kind of funny because we love Noctua. Just by saying, hey guys, something Noctua. I wanted to show them a product or something, I think. And everyone went there, the website went down. We have never been able to take down a Squarespace website with the WAN show flooding it. So as much as the plans are affordable, they can also scale depending on your needs. Your portfolio, you can do a blog, you can do a store, lots and lots of different stuff built into it.
Naturally, because it's a website, if you have 0 visitors, then you have 2,000, 5,000 visitors. It might take like a second to catch up, but we've never taken one down.
Yes.
We've slowed it down at the beginning, and then it'll go like, oh, okay, I'm good, and then it'll be able to manage it. But we've never actually taken one.
That was actually pretty funny because that was a live demo where I'd never tested it before, and I was like, let's see if we can take down linusmediagroup.com. This will be a benchmark. Because I do all kinds of stuff my sponsors hate on my show, I think, or have the potential to hate.
Misquoting, making them agree to give even more people clothes.
Stress testing them without them knowing it's coming. And what happened was it just kind of, for about 5 seconds, 10 seconds, it was like, and then it was fine.
Yeah.
All right, so the way to win 2 weeks ago, we did a Squarespace giveaway. You guys had to tweet with hashtag Linus Squarespace. So I love it when you guys tweet me. Hashtag Linus Squarespace. Send me your trial sites because you can get a 2-week trial for free at any time. And I said last week, in 2 weeks or 2 weeks ago, whatever. The point is, Brandon Olson, you won.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Yay, Brandon.
So here's Brandon's website. You can go ahead and you can check out the different pictures and stuff. I don't actually know what any of this stuff is. Apparently some of it is like cutting hair and other stuff. Oh, I guess it's probably a photography.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if he's a photographer, he takes really good photos.
Ah, yes, photography.
If he's a barbershop.
So we got
I
some
can't
street
tell.
stuff. Here's like a market. You can look at the way it works, and it actually works. According, oh, what are these? Oh, I don't know if he said all this stuff. Oh, okay, cool. So it just takes that and it rotates it. I haven't actually played around with all their different templates. They have about 20 different templates depending on what kind of a site you want. And then they're all optimized to work in different ways. But there you go. Brandon Olson, enjoy. And thank you very much for participating in our little giveaway here. Speaking of giveaways, I am aware that we're doing the G550 draw on the show today. And we will do it, but it will be later. Will be at the end of the show. So if you guys want to peace out and come back at the end of the show, that's fine. If you want to watch it in the archive later, that's fine too. It's not going to affect your chances to win or anything. But I'm just trying to say, guys, you don't think it's fine?
No, I think if they want to watch in the archive, I think they have to watch it twice.
They have to watch it twice?
They have to watch it live right now.
What the hell are you talking about?
This is how the internet works. It's not. They can't close this tab, or else they'll break the entirety of the internet.
All right, so anyway, guys, thanks to our sponsors, 5-4 and Squarespace, for making this show possible. Without sponsors, we can't make this show. I mean, we could, but we'd have no money. And then we wouldn't be able to make the show anymore.
We'd be like in the garage wearing parkas because it's so cold.
Okay, you should not say stuff like that because of how many people have been like, I really liked the show when you were in the garage with parkas. We're just like, we were legitimately uncomfortable.
It was not good.
It's like, that actually sucked.
It did.
We were cold. We weren't wearing them because we were Canadian and making a joke.
Yeah. Now it's the opposite. Now we're like, what the hell, Canada? Why is it so hot?
I know, it's so hot in this room. I'm not buying air conditioning, though.
We're paying for the electricity for air conditioning that is purchased for you.
That's right.
Ridiculous. Anyways.
I'm basically a terrible person. All right, so we've got our next story here, the LG G3 Beat. Really?
Why?
I mean, when I heard this, look at this. Ads for the Highlander shirt all over my internet. That's so funny.
Okay, does anyone else get those? Like, is anyone else
yeah.
I'm asking the...
Oh, no, I've heard from people on the forum
Really?
and stuff. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and people on Twitch chat last week were like, yeah, it's all over my internet. Just like, that's awesome.
That's so cool.
So that's for the Teespring campaign to get a commemorative Highlander shirt. There's 4 days left. Actually, we upgraded the hoodies.
Is that done now?
Yeah, it's done. So we didn't change the price of the hoodies, but they're now canvas something hoodies instead of Gildan hoodies. So I'm picking up a hoodie when I get a minute.
I'm getting at least one then.
Yeah. Because those look a fair bit nicer.
I love how it's an out of number that makes no sense.
Yeah, 346 sold out of 150. So it's teespring.com/HighlanderLand if you guys want to check that out. We already hit the target, so no pressure. We are definitely shipping them, and I'm super excited about that. Anyway, so the LG G3 Beat. When I first heard this name, I kind of went, okay, LG G3 Beat. So it's probably like a music-optimized version of it. Because HTC did that, where they had like, it was just a software layer or something.
I thought it was legitimately, like, they're like, oh yeah, there's some phone that's better than the LG G3.
Oh,
I didn't even think it was an LG phone.
So you thought Beat sounded better? Oh,
like
LG
something has
G3
Beat.
Oh.
Because you know how sometimes people title things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a news way of titling something, and you can say
Right.
LG G3 Beat as
So
in
this
something.
headline, if you miss the capitalized B,
Yeah.
it reads LG G3 Beat with 5-inch HT display, laser autofocus camera goes official. It's like, what does that actually mean?
It sounded kind of weird, but I thought it was something had beat the LG G3. And I started reading it. I was like, oh, wait. And because the photo, they look so similar.
Yeah, they look
I thought
basically
it
the
might
same.
have just been a zoom out of the same phone or something.
Right.
I did not catch on right away.
All right, so here we go. It's got a 5-inch HD, so that is 720p IPS display. And again, back to the iPhone 6. I don't mind that. I don't think it's perfect, but it's so much better than not 720p. So whatever we were using before, something by 480. It's so much better than that
that distance or that difference, sorry, is extremely drastic.
I'm okay with it. They're talking about the screen to body ratio, although I think they mean percentage, of 74.1% screen to the rest body. So it's very much about the screen experience, just like the G3 with its very slim bezels. The specs have been significantly downgraded, so you still get the laser focus camera, but you don't get a 13 megapixel rear camera anymore. It's 8 megapixels now. And the processing power is like in the basically in the toilet. 1.2 gigahertz Cortex A7, Adreno 305 GPU, only 1 gig of RAM compared to 2 or 3 depending on the storage capacity of the bigger one, and only 8 gigs of internal memory with a 2540 milliamp hour battery that is fortunately also still user removable. It still has a micro SD expansion slot, and basically I guess what I have to say here is this either validates HTC's strategy with the One Mini and the One Mini 2, where they take that same high-end build quality and look and that aluminum design, and in order to cost it down enough to really make any difference, especially for someone buying on contract, they put way lower end specs, because honestly, those chips are not that much of the cost of a phone. Like it's a factor, but you just by downgrading the CPU, like in a computer, for example, downgrading the CPU and GPU alone, you can reduce the price of a PC by half.
Yep.
Depending on what you're looking at, versus like a very high-end PC versus a low-end one. Easy. With a phone, that's not the case. We're talking about maybe they shave, 20, 30, 40 bucks off the BOM cost. That's not the difference between an $800 flagship phone and a $399 phone. So when they keep that build quality in there, they can't really drive the price down that much. That's why low-end phones are plastic and stuff. So this either validates HTC's strategy of delivering much lower specs but still a really nice feel, or it's LG going down that same disastrous path, I guess.
Yeah.
It remains to be seen.
You had a really interesting note here, though.
Yeah.
I should jump into the skin performance.
Yeah, with the One Mini 2, one of the articles I was looking at, I think it was the Verge article, pointed out that the One Mini 2 is, I don't want to, okay, whoever it was, don't remember if it was the Verge, I was reading up on it, and they basically made an interesting point. They said, the One Mini 2 is still a good phone. Even older smartphone specs, and we've gotten to that point now, can still deliver a really good experience. But the issue that I worry about here is that LG's skin is not as lightweight as Sense or just a stock Google experience like what you have on the Moto G, which is also a very low spec phone that still performs okay. My wife's been using one for the last few months now, and she does complain about it, but it's not that it's usable. It's not like her old phone or anything like that. So I worry, based on that LG skin is not that lightweight, if performance is going to be okay on the G3 Beat.
That is pretty interesting. Whoa, that was a loud knock. That I don't know. The skin is interesting, but then at the same time, they could have a lighter weight skin. I doubt it.
I doubt it.
They could.
Because there's certain things that are significantly lower. Like in my G3 review, I show multitasking on HTC versus LG, and their multitasking is really versatile. Like you can zoom in and zoom out and stuff, depending on how many things you want to see, but it's heavy. It takes a while to load. Like it's something that I noticed before I did a side-by-side comparison.
Oh,
like
that's never a good sign.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. It's something that they said in here, though, is the smartphone manufacturers cannot ignore this growing segment of consumers who want the best balance of looks, features, performance, and of course price. I like how he says that while his company is jumping on that bandwagon at the same time. Basically, we cannot ignore this growing segment of consumers.
Yes.
Either way, I think they're right. It's getting to the point where a lot of people don't need the flagship phones. For a while there, you basically needed to get a flagship phone, or else you were getting a piece of crap.
That's true. But the issue is that that's not even true anymore. So now consumers are being forced to choose between something with okay build quality, something like a Nexus 5, but bleeding edge specs, versus something that's going to have LG G3 or HTC One type aluminum backing, like that kind of stuff that really does cost a lot of money, and much lower end specifications. I mean, the killer for me is the 8 gigs of onboard storage. I can live with 16 gigs as long as I have SD expansion.
Yeah. But then a lot of apps are not going to want to live off that SD card.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And games are getting bigger and bigger all the time on Android.
Yep.
I mean, there's that rumor on the street about some Android gaming device that may or may not be surfacing at some point in the near future. I can't say anything because when I don't know anything, I can speculate. So anyway, something that may or may not be coming at some point. Android is a valid gaming platform. You look at I do most of my gaming on Android, even if I'm using GameStream.
I was just gonna say.
No, not Android games.
Yeah.
But what needs to happen is game developers need to get on board the whole Android thing, but we need devices that are really delivering a great Android gaming experience, and it's that whole chicken and egg thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of chicken and egg things, Mozilla is attempting to improve JPEG. How you like that
I
segue?
like that. That was a very interesting segue.
Thank
I
you.
like what they're doing here a lot because
Yes! This is so much better than Google's approach.
it is so much better than Google's approach. It makes so much more sense because Google's promoting something that is only kind of
Okay, we
work
should
on
say
their
what
ecosystem.
Mozilla's doing first, then we'll like slam Google for being dumb. So what's Mozilla doing?
Mozilla is making a new compression library for JPEG. So where is it called? Moz JPEG 2.0, MOZ JPEG 2.0, which will work for when you're compiling JPEGs, but then it's read in the exact same way. So everything that reads JPEGs right now can read it just totally fine. It'll take a slightly longer amount of time to create that JPEG, but then reading it is faster. So that's awesome because it takes like no time to create one right now at all. So
should be fine.
if it takes ever so slightly longer than basically non-existent, I think it's okay. And if it's making, where is it, 30% smaller or something?
I think it's about 5 to 15%.
15% smaller, which isn't as good as Chrome's approach, but it actually works with everything,
Yeah.
which is pretty important.
And I mean, making images smaller on the web isn't the end of the world these days anymore. Like it used to be
It
that
can still help a
loading
lot.
images was the bulk of web traffic, whereas now
but-
it's video.
Yes, but at the same time, we're running into things like Imager, whatever you want to say, where instead of having a few images on the website and that being an issue, now it's the whole website is just images, so that I can actually take a little bit.
So even let's take the average, even another 10% faster, another 10% less bandwidth used by those images is all going to be really positive stuff.
This can really help people that are in, say, Australia.
Yeah.
Have terrible craptastic internet or other random areas around the world. Like, we complain about our internet all the time. Then mods that I have in the mod chat post a screenshot of their speed test, and I'm just like,
Sad face.
my internet is godlike compared to yours. So, yeah.
So, by comparison, Google's been pushing their WebP, which is a still image derivative of their WebM codec, which actually is better. I mean, technically it's better. We're looking at up to 30% smaller images with WebP. But the problem, and Facebook did an experiment, Facebook, the kings of experimenting with things just randomly, did an experiment where they started serving up pages with WebP, and the problem was that no browsers other than Chrome or Opera supported it. And then problem number 2 is that a lot of people use Facebook as cloud storage. So they actually upload their photos because they don't care about pixel perfect quality being preserved forever. So they're just uploading their photos to Facebook and then downloading them as they need them. They were downloading these WebP photos and none of their local file viewers were able to look at them.
That's a big issue in my opinion because I don't necessarily use Facebook as web photo storage. I never have, but I have downloaded images off Facebook when I'm like, say, I need a new Twitter banner and the Facebook thing is really wide. So like my brother's Facebook thing or my mom's Facebook thing, if she wants a Twitter banner, I can be like, yeah, just go to your Facebook one, right click on it, view image, save image, upload it again to Twitter, and it's probably fine. Considering so many different websites are moving to this like wide, big banner kind of style, you can just bounce them across each other, and you can do that from any location if you have them on one of those services. So
Right.
being unable to download them again is kind of dumb.
So, I mean, maybe a long time in the future, but you look at how long it takes to really move the dial on a web standard. I mean, Flash is still here.
Why?
It's still causing browser crashes for me on a regular basis.
Remember when I
And-
was like, wow, Mozilla's screwing up right now, and then I was like, wow, no it's not. I'm just at like 98% or 95% RAM usage. A gig of that was Flash. It's like, wow, really? Why? Go away. I have like one YouTube video open. What are you doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, I see something like the JPEG improvements as a much more feasible way to actually achieve something
Yeah.
versus
So Mozilla's trying to achieve something real, and Google's trying to achieve something that will hopefully be
like way better,
realistic
but
in the future, maybe, or
yeah,
something.
maybe.
So I'm sure they could make photo viewer work with WebP.
Speaking of things that right now are not really a thing, but could be really important in the future. See another segue. Bam! Got
Boom.
those segues. Project Ara dev board ships later this month. So the sign up is actually closed now. Yesterday was the last opportunity to sign up, and Google is evaluating who gets the equipment based on how interesting their idea is, as well as something else. So basically, they're actually going through all these submissions. But for those of you who need a refresher, Project Ara is the modular smartphone concept. Now, this is a concept image right here of like, remember phone blocks. So this is the real version of that. So this concept image right here shows backings of something that looks like a phablet with these modules that plug into it and are going to communicate via a standardized interface, so that whatever type of module you're plugging in, they'll all be able to communicate with each other, and they'll all be able to communicate ultimately with you. Here's a smaller one. Here's some just random modules. Well, I mean, this is the state it's in now. So we're not there yet. But
Epic.
but they'll be shipping the second round of hardware sometime in the fall, I believe. Yes.
First round is in.
First round is soon, and then second hardware release with multiple application processors will be in the fall. Right now, it's not even close to ready, so this is very much like plug things in and see if they work stage, but it shows that they are still working on the project. They are still serious about this, and I mean, okay. Initially, what I said about this was it's not going to make sense for anything but the low end. By the time it actually sees the light of day, I might be totally wrong.
Because we're getting to the point where like the spec bumps don't
Yeah,
feel them as much.
we're getting to the point where we can continue to miniaturize things, but a phone is largely fast enough for most of the things you're going to want to do with it today. Which, I mean, if we're talking about walking around with a phone in 3D mapping an environment,
Yeah, and stuff like gaming is always going to get harder. But
Yes.
when you talk about it's fast enough to do things you want to do today, a lot of people, when you reference that, is calling, texting, very basic
Facebook.
kind of text applications
Yeah.
and photo applications like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that kind of stuff.
So when I said basic, I think I had the wrong concept in my mind. I was thinking basic today basic. Whereas basic by then will probably be this basic. High-end today basic. And so I'm a lot more excited about it, especially if we see technologies like that however many seconds it was they could charge a Galaxy S4. Like if we see improvements in charging technology, improvements in battery technology to the point where you can make something that isn't that bulky and really is legitimately modular, that isn't so slow that it's only usable for basic calling and texting functionality. I'm a lot more excited about it now than I was before. So right now it's running on a fork of Android. Like it doesn't even run on regular Android because they had to Frankenstein it to allow hot swapping of components. I mean, that's the kind of thing, guys. Your phone freaks out if you unplug a micro SD card unexpectedly. It's like, yo, dog, please don't do that. Whereas if we're talking about unplugging your camera, I mean, the amount of app dependencies on any piece of hardware like a camera. I mean, you install any app and it goes, this app has access to this. You start pulling out your GPS module in the middle of, right?
It's going to be like, no.
There's a lot of stuff that needs to be figured out before this really happens, but I'm a lot more excited about it than I was before. Speaking of things that are designed to generate hype, Sony and Microsoft are talking about early access game sales on consoles. Now, neither of them is announcing that they're doing it now. That's not what's happening right now. What they've basically said is, look, we're having serious internal discussions about this. We've seen what a big deal this has been on the PC, with Steam allowing games to allow players to pay for early access to them. But I think they recognize, like hopefully everyone recognizes, that there are still some serious problems with this model. So the benefits are obvious, I guess. The developer gets feedback. I mean, even EA is recognizing the benefits. So okay, hold on. Let's one step back. You look at Star Citizen, where they're being extremely open about the development process. Here's the roadblock we're stuck with right now. Here's the milestone that unfortunately we keep not hitting because we're actually sharing the internal targets with you guys instead of padding it the way that a game developer would normally do. Okay, so there's that completely crowd-funded project and then crowd interactive development process. Then there's the next step. There's what EA finally has opened their eyes to, what they did with the Battlefield Hardline beta, where they went, okay, we want people to play this game. We want to know that it works properly before we ask for people's money. Then there's early access. And so the benefits of developers getting feedback before they release a game are great, especially on the PC, where so many game-breaking bugs can have to do with obscure hardware configurations. But the problem is asking for people to pay for beta software. Paying for early access is a big problem to me.
It used to be so cool.
Yes.
I used to like when you had to sign up for a beta, it was this huge resume process. And one of the sections, which was always extremely important, was what games have you done betas for before?
Yeah.
And how engaged are you in betas and all this kind of stuff. And it was a big deal. And if you got into a beta for something, it was
wow.
It was cool.
And you were a cool dude.
Yeah, and people were like, oh, holy crap, you've betaed for all these different games? And it's yeah, and you learn how to test things, and it was actually kind of interesting. There was one point in time where beta testing games could have gone on a resume.
Right.
The fact that you were accepted into all these different betas could have gone on a resume. Now you buy into it? What? What? We took that hype of yeah, I got into a beta, this is super cool, and turned it into it's just generally cool to be into betas, which made it so that betas weren't betas anymore.
And
which
you look
then
at
made it so
Gmail beta.
Yeah, Gmail, with the Minecraft beta, where things last forever and it makes no sense. And then they started charging you for it.
And it devalues the beta word. It's
Yeah.
taken the meaning out of the beta word. Beta used to mean it's not finished. Now beta seems to mean it's mostly finished. We're just not quite ready to call it finished.
We're done, but we're getting your feedback and we're going to tweak things so that when we release it, everyone sees it as being
And
very
the
good.
problem with that, with betas working too well, is it changes the customer's perception of what a beta is, and it changes their expectations of what a beta is. So all of a sudden, they kind of expect a beta to be mostly there. A beta, sure, beta software works, no big deal. I'll run beta software on my PC all day long. And then developers recognize this change in perception and go, oh, well, why don't we just charge them for it then? And, Valve has warnings. Look, if you buy into early access, you should buy it because you're really excited about the title or something. I forget the wording exactly. But they basically go, look, they might not ever get finished. But why is that acceptable?
Yeah.
And, okay, why is it acceptable? Yeah, but then the flip side of that is it really any different from what we have today? Where the development process is mostly closed, they release the game, and you pay for it, and it wasn't done. So basically, we're just giving them our money at the same point in the development cycle. We're just calling it something different.
That's why I often don't buy release games anymore. I used to be all about buying release games and pre-ordering stuff. I know that sounds weird, but honestly, at one point in time, that was fine.
We need to do a shirt that's I paid for this, and then this just needs to trail off.
That's actually not a bad one. Yeah.
Okay, guys, let us know. Maybe we'll do another Teespring campaign instead of throwing it up on
buy
the other store.
what if you did a release and I paid for this and have part at the end a different color and then have an index and have it be release and DLC.
Yeah, we got to come up with something. Let us know in Twitch chat if you need us to do a beta shirt, because I think that would be pretty freaking awesome.
I funded this beta. So I guess that Luke's shirts are getting smaller and smaller. No, this shirt has just consistently been small.
Yeah. Because you're bigger than... Well, you've been getting jacked lately, so there's that.
Bit.
Okay, I don't think there's anything else I had to say on the beta thing. I think the punchline was what it was. Is anything really changing if we just get people to pay for betas? No, not really.
Nope, because it's going to be broken or it's going to be broken.
Speaking of things never changing, It's like the ISPs want us to keep having negative things to say about them.
What? Oh.
This is brutal. It's on the register. Guys, you have to listen to this at some point. You know what's the funny thing about it? Is Comcast is backpedaling and saying, oh, we're very upset that the customer was treated in this manner. This is a recording of about an 8-minute customer support call where someone tried to call in and cancel their service. And they're like, oh, we're really embarrassed about this. They've said nothing about disciplining the employee because as listening to the recording, I am sure the employee was 100% doing everything right.
They were probably instructed to work that way.
They were probably instructed to work in exactly this way because the employee doesn't call the customer an asshole or something. Like, the employee is polite, sort of, throughout the whole thing. Other than talking over the customer and repetitively asking the same stupid questions. Like, well, if our service is superior and faster, are you saying that you'd like to have an inferior service? And then when the guy just tries to say, like, no, I just want to cancel the service. I don't have to answer this question. Well, what? So then you're saying you want an inferior service? Our competitor can't give you what we give you. And he kind of goes, okay, sure, I want an inferior service. And the customer service, the CSR is like, oh, well, why would you want an inferior service? I mean, let's listen to what you're saying. Please and thank yous are all in there. But talking over the customer in this disrespectful manner is not cool.
No.
But that's, I'm certain, what
Honestly,
they were instructed to do.
I don't like RISPs, but I don't think it would have been that bad. They'll push you.
Yeah, I've canceled service with our ISPs and our telcos. It's nothing like that.
No. They'll push you. They'll ask you why. But if you're like, I just don't want it. I just don't want it. They'll be like, oh, okay.
Really aggressive.
And they'll cancel it.
And just like one of the highest pressure sales techniques that I've ever encountered. And yeah, so
like Shaw called me.
Yeah.
Because I used to have Shaw, and then where I'm living now, the landlord has internet already. So they're like, oh, you canceled Shaw. Was there like a reason? Did you not like it? Did you have too many outages? Like what? Why did you cancel Shaw? And I was like, oh, I moved somewhere, and they have it already. They're like, oh, so you don't want it anymore? I was like, well,
I moved somewhere and I have it already.
I have it already. Like I'm using it. I'm just not paying for it because the person that owns the building is already paying for it. And they're like, oh, okay. Hopefully you use this in the future. I was like, yep. Like, okay, bye. Like it was really not a big deal. They didn't try to push and be like, no, you have to like get your own blah 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 blah. Which I don't know, but whatever.
It felt just like the worst thing about trying to shop for a car. Or trying to shop for insurance, or like those kinds of things. It felt like I had a Primerica presentation in my kitchen when I was listening to this thing.
That's brutal.
Which I did recently. Long story why they were there, but I'll have to tell you offline because, yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, it was really annoying.
I've lost a couple friends to that.
Yeah.
Not like
I went to a presentation.
I've gone to one as well,
yeah.
but I got tricked into going to one.
No, I knew where I was going.
I didn't. I had no idea.
I
had a weird idea that it might have been something to do with that, but I had no idea.
Yeah, I was fresh out of high school, and someone was like, blah blah blah. There's this thing. And
fresh out of high school. That sounds right.
I hadn't caught on to the whole. If they refuse to tell you what you're selling, then you probably shouldn't be selling it yet. So they were just like, no, we can't tell you anything. You have to just come to the presentation. So I kind of sat through the presentation. I kind of went, okay, it's a pyramid scheme, and then. That was about the end of that.
I had contacted a friend that I hadn't talked to since high school, and I was like, we should hang out sometime. And they're like, yeah, you should come to like my work. We're having a work thing, and we're allowed to bring +1s.
Oh,
we're encouraged to bring +1s. Like it's good. I should be bringing people. I'm like, okay, sure. And then day of, they're like, oh yeah, like wear something nice. Like it's fairly formal. I was like, okay. So that's when I had that like one red and black suit. You remember that? So I put that on, which is like super formal.
Way over the top.
Oh yeah, like way over the top because it's the only thing I have. And I show up and like they haven't told me what they do. And I've asked them multiple times what it's about, all this kind of stuff. And I show up and then I'm like, oh, this is your work. This is weird. It's in like a storage unit complex. This is really odd.
Which ironically isn't as bad as your old office in my house.
Garage. But yeah, and then I sit down and I realize that it's not like just some work. There's the reception desk and then there's the like presentation room. There's no working area, and I'm like, oh god, I'll just sit through this and then go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so SanDisk apparently is reporting that their SSD sales have soared. That alone isn't really that newsworthy. There's an article on the Register, so bloopity bloop. There's the one. That to me
The
isn't
4
isn't the
terabyte
huge
thing.
thing about it. But what is interesting to me about it is the way that we're finally seeing capacities take another jump. SanDisk is talking about 4 terabyte and 2 terabyte, like terabyte class, multi-terabyte class SSDs that might be very, very expensive right now, but prices are continuing to fall. They're talking about how their volumes are increasing, so their actual revenues are up, even though profits are not really sort of increasing in the same manner. So we're seeing it become commoditized. We're seeing it become more affordable. So that's the whole point of this. Is it's getting more affordable. It's really, really exciting. SSDs are maybe they're not the future, but they're at least the immediate sort of transitional phase between hard drives and whatever the future ends up being. And that's pretty much all that I have to say about that. Next big, this really sucks.
Oh,
Microsoft cut 18,000 jobs.
which is 14% of their global workforce. Holy crap.
I mean, that's basically like me cutting one employee. No, not to make light of the situation. That is absolutely
That's so
incredible. I mean, I understand. So this was originally posted on the forum by Josel, and the original articles from the BBC. There's a number of sources on it. I understand, right sizing or streamlining or whatever the case may be, but
I just find it interesting that they kind of shoveled a whole bunch of it under the Nokia thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, yeah, we're getting rid of people because of the Nokia merger. Actually, a lot of other people as well.
Yeah. So I guess that's really all there is to say about it. So it's 18,000 over the next year. So it's not all like everyone's job is gone
The mass
today.
majority of it's going to be over the next 6 months, though.
But it's one of those things where it's easy for us to kind of see these kinds of job cuts and go, oh, okay, well, they did this or they did that. But it's a lot harder to look at it and go, okay, well, someone we know and like and respect lost their job. So Barnacles is one of our fellow YouTubers. This was posted by the Double Y Gamer on the forum. Just a series of tweets from him kind of going, holy cow. I got blindsided by this. Didn't expect this at all, but Barnacles was one of the casualties in Microsoft cutting all these jobs. So you should definitely check him out on YouTube. Barnacles1, numerical 1 on YouTube, or if you just search for Barnacles,
That should be a secondary account.
then
Barnacles numerical 1.
numerical 1. No. If you had a secondary account, it should be Barnacles 2.
Nope.
That's stupid. That's the
Nope.
stupidest thing you've said today.
Barnacles
And
numerical
stupidest
1.
isn't even a word, which some people will go, no, the person calling something the stupidest thing ever is stupid because they're using not even a word. But actually, I'm saying it very intentionally to emphasize how stupid it is. It's so stupid, it shouldn't even be real. There. Done.
That was very well put.
The
I'll take
Millennium
that.
Bug returns. So this is pretty funny.
I can't believe this.
Posted on the forum
my
by
God.
Johners, but this is great. So the Selective Service System mistakenly sent notices to more than 14,000 Pennsylvanian men born between 1893 and 1897, ordering them to register for the nation's military draft and warning that a failure to do so is punishable by a fine and imprisonment. What they actually meant was 1993 to 1997, so Y2K strikes again.
Oh, like I can't even believe. I love how they're like, yeah, they accepted that it was wrong, and they just told people just to ignore it if it shows up. I'm like, that's actually going to be possibly traumatic for certain people.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Like, that's going to be not good at all. Because I wouldn't even be surprised if there's people in that group that possibly passed away in duty that are now getting drafted.
Yeah, I mean it's
And like their spouses might still be alive or something.
it's
Or
it's
their
super not cool. I mean, the
kids.
error occurred because the state uses a 2-digit code to indicate the date,
Because
and digital
herp
systems
derp.
go back far enough that those people were alive when this code was implemented. Like all this stuff, I still I don't understand. I still see stuff that uses 2-digit date codes, and it's like, haven't we figured out that this is a problem yet? We all just need to stop doing this. Use real dates.
We have really big storage now It's okay.
It's fine.
Just
The extra 2 characters.
Just take the 2 more characters.
Probably fine.
It'll be okay.
Speaking of 2 characters, The Last of Us remastered on the PS4 is going to allow you to lock the frame rate at 30 FPS. Now, to be clear, by default, it will run at 1080 60p. And I am definitely a huge advocate for consoles giving the user the option to control the graphical fidelity settings so that they can choose whether they want, more particles to kick around on the floor, or whether they prefer to run at a more consistent frame rate or at a higher resolution, or whatever else the case may be. But the one concern that this brings up, so this was posted by Dietrich W in the forum, the one concern that this raises for me is if you're at 60 FPS and they're acknowledging that, and they're giving you the option to lock at 30 FPS because there is no cinematic gameplay reason to play a game at 30 FPS. Put that out of your mind. If they're giving us that option, are they basically saying, well, it could be dipping below 60 FPS often enough that it might bother some people to the point where they'd rather play at a lower frame rate?
I rebuttal this a little bit by saying that one of the lead developers was talking about how amazing it was to play it in 60 FPS. So I don't really think it's going to be that big of an issue. It could be.
But then I've always been one of those diva-tastic people who basically dials in my graphics settings based on worst case scenario.
Yep.
And people will often make this argument, well, you don't need to run your game at 95 frames per second because your monitor only supports 60 frames per second. That's not really the point. The point is, those times when it dips are usually the times when a bunch of dudes jump out at you. That's how it works. When there's more objects on screen, that's when your frame rate dips. So that's why it's important to run at an average frame rate of 100 FPS so that when shit gets real, you're ready.
100.
And everything runs at 60, even though it never dips below. So
that's why in Star Citizen, when you're staring at the floor, you can get 150, and then if you look up in a deluxe hangar that has a butt ton of ships in it, you can go down to 10 or 15.
Right.
It can be a lot harder to run different parts of different games.
And G-Sync will alleviate this quite a lot, more than I expected. 40 FPS looks pretty good on a G-Sync monitor when you're not dealing with any stuttering or tearing.
Yeah.
But, maybe 40 might be a little bit on the low side. 45 looked pretty good, though. So.
It's still, yeah. It's interesting. And then
Yeah, let's not, whatever.
Just no cares.
And, we rejected the Tesla Model 3? That's exciting.
We talked about it last week.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we called it the Model E.
Oh, so we can talk about that name change
so we can
thing.
talk about how Elon Musk is so yeah, Ford ruined our whole plan to have the sex lineup of cars with the Model S, the Model E, and the Model X by threatening a lawsuit over the Model E naming or something. So we're calling it the 3.
So it's close enough.
He is so funny.
I think he found some way to still make it work or something. Where was it?
Yeah, the S.
Yeah, S3, which is 3 eyes, and then an X. So, yeah, I don't know.
What a funny guy. I mean, who does that? Because you can't... Someone that smart, who's paying that much attention to everything, there's no way he didn't know that the letters weren't going to spell sex.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Guaranteed.
I love it. I think he's hilarious.
Me too. I like Musk a lot. He's kind of awesome.
I think that's pretty much it from my side.
There's other stuff, but it's
I don't know. None of it seems that exciting.
Yeah.
So...
Totally not great.
Totally not a drum
for the
roll.
laptop.
Oh. That's okay.
The laptop that's trying really hard to keep itself alive.
I may replace this laptop.
With what?
4 gigs of RAM isn't enough.
And you can't upgrade?
I might just get a new... No, soldered on. I might just get a new Gen XPS 12.
Speaking about soldered on...
What? No. Nothing's soldered onto that laptop.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant the blade... The blade. That's why.
That's
why I'm.
No, I already shipped the blade back.
Yeah.
I was tempted to just not ship it back and just be like, "What are you gonna do? What are they gonna do? Stop seeding me review samples? No."
What they could have done was they could have turned that into an advertising campaign.
It's our laptop is so good that this guy won't send it back. But if they publicized what I did, then they'd be opening up the floodgates for other reviewers to just. Not send things back.
Yeah. Or else they could send the Razor SWAT crew. Not real SWAT. They could show up with water guns.
That would
and raid the house.
That would actually be kind of hilarious. Except it could cause real problems because, like, yeah, that would. I mean, fake swatting is never funny, even if they're armed with water guns. So I would definitely see.
But
that
if
being
you
a problem.
called ahead, like if they called ahead and like informed the police and like it was set up and we probably knew,
They would have to inform us. They would. It would basically the
yeah,
whole thing would just have to be completely.
everyone would have
staged.
to know. It would have to be like realistic looking SWAT uniforms with like bright yellow and orange water guns, so that everyone knows it's fake.
Yeah, but then it's not even that funny anymore. Okay, anyway, so speaking of things that aren't that funny anymore, making you guys wait any longer for the drawing of the signed ROG G550 JK gaming notebook. So it's signed by all the Highlander video personalities that were the top. So me, Logan, Kane, Luke, Austin, Paul, and Kyle all signed the bottom of this unit, and it can be yours. So we are going to draw it live, random.org. So we have 611 pages. Whatever we draw live here, guys, if we find that your entry wasn't valid, so we go back and make sure that your entry was valid.
I'll be inspecting accounts. Yeah. I'll be inspecting
He'll
posts.
be digging. Don't tell them what you're inspecting because we don't want them to know what we're looking for.
I'm not telling them how.
Oh, okay.
Doing it.
Basically, we have a process. You won't get away with it. So we may do a redraw. Stay tuned on Twitter if the original winner ends up not being valid. But here we go, guys. Drum roll. So the way that we do it is first we draw a random page on random.org. Then we draw a random poster on said random page. So it's I think it's 20 posts per page. Yep. 20 posts per page. Here we go. Page 341.
Hold up. Give everyone like a little bit of time so they can figure out if they're on page 341.
Sure.
So we can
okay.
make everyone super anxious.
Okay.
I'm just terrorizing everybody right now.
Okay. All right. We will do that. Okay. So it could be Tony Tang 66, Pinnin, Fikri Farhan, Cameron Schultz, Legola Dex, Slimunski. Won't be Slimunski.
No, Slimunski.
Sorry, dude. Mr. Mosh Pit 101, Shukalate, Ringner, Aidlauncher, Shilewall, Aiden Chu, E. Thorn, Light Cam, Nick 45101. It better not be our Nick.
Yeah, seriously, I can check that.
Victoruse Clayster or Joe 1134206.
There's so many Joes.
Yeah, so many, all the Joes.
Incredible amount of Joes.
Okay, so now we will go from 1 to 20.
Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum.
9. Okay, so let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Do you double count the guy that was in there twice? I guess we already picked.
Yeah, because we're picking a random one based on post count. Then we're going to validate.
20 on a page. Good point.
Yeah, so that way the double entries don't affect anyone else's chance to win.
Yeah.
So there it is. You won. Good job.
Yeah.
So I'll send a PM through the forum, which is how our giveaways work. All right, congratulations,
What are we
everyone.
going to do if that person doesn't respond?
To respond to what?
The PM on the forum.
Then we'll redraw it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So stay tuned on Twitter.
I was more asking for like...
I can't believe how many people are watching WAN Show today. Thank you so much, guys. We peaked near 6,000.
Yeah, we broke a record. Our last record was about 5,500.
Wow, you guys are incredible. Thank you so much for watching. I think that's pretty much it for the show. For those of you upset that it's someone who only posted once, the giveaway is for Linus Tech Tips YouTube viewers. We are using the forum as a mechanism for hosting the giveaway. Someone who has one post on the forum could be a long-time loyal viewer of our videos.
Even a big commenter on the YouTube instead of on Facebook.
Yeah. So just because they don't post a lot on linustechtips.com doesn't mean they're not a member of our community. So let's try not to be all butthurt about that.
And if they're not logging on to the community that much, you have a higher chance that they won't answer the PM and that there's going to be a redraw.
That's right. So we did think of this. All right. Peace out, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Same bat time, same bat channel next week.
Bye, everyone.
Why is that still there? There we go. Yeah, someone's comment, the International's on, and there's like 6,000 people watching us.
Winner!
You guys are awesome.
Not multi-twitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? For us to make the assumption that they're all just watching this would be...
Maybe not super accurate.